would try those cheap eBay pipes just for the sake of having something to practice on until I get my proper ones, which are a few months away. They'll give me time to get some of the fingering done. I've already started by downloading the chromatic scale and fingering of the chanter, because I figure because it's a different fingering than a normal small pipes chanter, I'm going to have to, it'll be a little bit of like learning a new foreign language. So I'm hoping I can take some of my bellows small pipe skills over. So I got a pretty nice little bag, Hakam from Pakistan. Looks like a chanter reed, I think, and a pretty solid book. Makers of the world's finest bagpipes. Okay, there you go. A fairly modest bellows to the bag. Feels pretty light, but I'm not expecting it to be sheepskin. And then the connection to the chanter. Again, not a bad little bag for the money. A connection for something. I'm not exactly sure what that is. Mouth blown something, maybe? Chanter. Excellent. I'll give a more thorough description of this in a minute. Unfortunately, the zipper looks like it's broken. Oh well. This is the connection from the bellows to the bag, and often this is a length that you have to kind of custom fit to the size of your body, and it's usually a bit too long at the start. That came off pretty easily off of there. It's just a plastic tube, so probably that's going to need a hose clamp, that part, to keep it snug. And then this is the connection to the to the bag, and got some pretty dry hemp on there. That's too loose, so that's okay. Came from a hot country and it's flown in the air and all that stuff, so it's going to be a little bit need to be fixed up. The stock here, I assume it's tied in pretty well into the bag. There's the chanter connection. The stock here is where the drones fit, and there's usually a third set of holes for the regulators. And that's snug. I can barely move it, which is good. So that's a nice thing. Because I'm only using these to practice with and get the feeling of the chanter, I'm not too worried about ever having to take this apart. I've got this really only as a practice chanter. Somewhere like that. If this doesn't work, I've also got my other set of bellows from my Fred Morrison small pipes that I can use, and that maybe is what I'll go with, because I know that they fit well and they work well. There we go. Okay. And then you want it up on your chest, up nice and high. Remember, this is going to get cut to length to be exactly the size I want. And I got lots of extra length here. I don't know about Uilleann's, but on the small pipes you want them fitting fairly high up on your chest. So I'm definitely going to cut some of this extra leather off here. That part's working good. A little bit of resistance on it. Or the drones would lay across your leg like so. And chanter's down here. It's maybe a little long. Maybe I would shorten it by that much. It's got a little kink in the hose there, I think, because of its extra length. I think if I shortened it by that much, you wouldn't have that kink. The wood has got a nice finish to it. The keys feel okay. Oop, that one's stuck, but it's okay. It's got definitely a lot more resistance than the other ones. That one's a little bit lighter. Of course, it's a much shorter throw on it too. This one is a little loose. I might need to adjust the tension on that spring there, because it looks like it could not, maybe not necessarily seat. Part here, that's nice and tight. Just going to have a look down the bore. It's got some hairy stuff in there. I might need to run a cloth. Yeah, it's got some little obstruction in there that I'm gonna, it's fairly rough on the inside. Hemping here goes into here. Nice and snug. And the last thing is the reed. I'm no expert on Uilleann pipe reeds. In fact, I've never held one in my hand until now. but it has a little copper staple on here, which I believe can slide up and down. It seems to be fairly symmetrical on the lips. The wrapping is tight and well done. It's got a nice little bit of hemping on it. I mean, just looking at it, it looks great. I'm gonna put it inside here and seat it. It goes down quite a bit. Put that upper part on. Be very careful. These are brittle reeds. Last thing you want to hear is a crunch sound. There we go. First sound. Pretty bad. You're playing the bellows, your arm goes across, and right at these points here, they're sharp. They've been screwed on, and they have these little tiny points. And anyway, my wrist is all red and scratched. And I was thinking, what the hell? Why is my wrist so sore? And it's these little tiny screws. They just have these sharp edges on them that I'll just have to put something, some tape or something, or maybe sand them, file them down. This is hard. That shouldn't be this hard. In fact, I don't know anything about Uilleann pipe reeds, but I know that this is a really, really hard reed. I just about killed myself trying to play it. And I'm going to adjust this bridle and just take a little bit of the take a bit of sandpaper to the edges of this reed here. The other thing I did, and I saw this on a YouTube video of making Uilleann pipe reeds, is that you use a knife and you cut, I'm going to point this out with a pipe cleaner, you cut a tiny bit off on a 45-degree corner here, just a little tiny bit off. I'll put it on a dark background here. Hopefully you can see where that. And then I'm also going to slide that bridle up and down. I know that on normal bagpipes, if you move a bridle up, it generally tends to make the reed easier, and if you slide it down, it makes it harder. And I notice on these reeds here that the lips of the reed come together when you slide the bridle down. You can really see them separating when you slide that bridle up. I don't know if you can see that on that image or not, but if I slide the bridle down, those lips are almost together, and if I blow them, nothing. So if I bring that bridle up a tiny bit, like it's probably 2 millimeters, try that. Okay, so I got a little bit of a crow, or the nice sound. That blew with about the hardness of a normal bagpipe. So I'm going to just slide it up again and again. I want to be really just very small increments. I want to make sure that I'm square across the reed on that. One more blow. Wow, you really hear how much that has flattened off. Okay, this might be getting a little bit tougher. Let's try it. Let's stick that in the chanter. And in she goes. This bag itself, I mean, it's just kind of like a piece of kind of rubberized fabric. It's not bad. It's not as light as I thought it might be. It's not bad. Notice that some black stain stuff just came off this leather strap. And boy, okay, don't wear it on something fresh. I cut a bunch of the leather off the end here just to make it a little bit more reasonably sized. Put that on nice and snug. I'm getting a sound, which is good. It sounds horrible, but then again, I'm just new at this and I'm probably not lining my fingers up on the holes very well. But it's working way less air than it was last time. But you're getting the idea. I'm getting sound out of it now. It's taking way less pressure. It's not killing me. The little bellows this thing comes with, that's pretty good. I'm going to see if I can get a scale. I also have to learn to hold my chanter down on my leg, and I'm still learning the fingering. Cut the corners, move the bridle, gave it a little bit of a lick, a little bit of a pinch. Let's just see on the lower scale here how I do. Start with the low D. those notes were not bad. For right now, that's pretty good. I have tried hard to pop this to the upper octave, and I have not been able to do that yet. So these are my small pipe bellows here, McCallum's with my Fred Morrison small pipes, and these are the Hakam Din. If we have a look at this flapper, I don't know if you can see there, but there's a little gap. You can see where the light's coming through, and it's not quite seating. And I think, I'm not sure if it's because the orientation, I didn't really check the orientation in the bag. You can't kind of look in it very well and see what's happening, but I'm going to make sure that this hinge is at the top so that gravity will tend to close that flapper, plus the back pressure that's building up in the bag. The other thing I noticed when I came out, it wasn't entirely square sitting on that rim there. I mean, this is just a little flat piece of rubber, and isn't exactly high tech, but I assume it should work. So I'm going to just rough this hemp up a little bit to make sure it's snug in there. We're not losing anything around the hemp. Make sure that is as flat as it can be. There's no bends in that little metal pin that's holding it in place. I put a little line on here to show where the top of the flapper is, so that when I push it in there, I know that it's going to be in a vertical position. So that's really important. It's quite snug, so that's okay. It's good. And that flapper valve, the hinge is at the top, so it should open with gravity. And hopefully this holds air, or not bad. There's a little bit of air coming out, but I'm getting good resistance. Let's see how well the bag stops there. So I'm just going to put my finger over the hole on the end here, my thumb over the hole, hold that tight, fill it up. See how well that holds air. You can hear air flowing backwards. It's kind of coming back this way into the bellows. Definitely some air leaking somewhere in the system. It's not this joint, because this is tight. There might be a gap in the bag somewhere. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear that, but it's definitely making a hissing sound. Anyway, we're going to go ahead regardless. So there's my chanter. Actually, it's not a bad looking chanter. And it's got the original reed in there. And we'll push that in, get it going. So, this is pretty much as it comes out of the box, off of eBay. Little modifications. I'm trying to get it to pop into the upper octave by closing it, bringing it open again, putting some pressure on it. I can't get it to do that. It works technically, but it is a ton of air going into this thing, a ton. So what I'm going to do, you see, well, maybe it's not this whole setup. I mean, the setup is leaking, no question about that. But this is the original reed that came with it. I showed you that before. I'm going to replace it with the one that I bought on eBay for. I mean, the chanter's not bad looking. Maybe a little rough inside. And so you rock the reed into place. You never twist it. You rock it, because these are very long cane reeds, and they're quite easy to twist out of parallel on the lips here, and then they just don't work properly after that. So without really worrying, you have to be very careful putting it in here that it's parallel to the sides and doesn't touch and scrape. Very careful. An actual chanter made by a person that makes Uilleann chanter reeds. The thing about a chanter reed is that most makers of Uilleann chanters and pipes make their own reeds to go with their own chanters. It's a risk to buy one without knowing if it's going to work in there or not. You can try it, and then which is what I did, because I figured, well, I had nothing to lose because that other reed was so garbagey. But not necessarily will work. So let's try it and see if any. Oh yeah, this is too hard. There's air moving, there's leaks. This chanter sucks, it's tough. So I'm going to try something here. I have another bellows from my small pipes, right? Fred Morrison small pipes. And I'm going to stick it on here. So these are the real deal. These are proper Fred Morrison small pipe bellows. They can also be used on Uilleann pipes. And I'm coming to this from small pipes. And so I have, believe it or not, play small pipes. You wouldn't believe it the way this is sounding. Better bellows, got a better reed in here. Still kind of a leaky system, but let's see how it goes. So between losing air on the bag and losing air in the bellows, it's hard. It's really hard. The chanter's not horrible. I mean, it does, you heard it, it does make a sound. And if you can sort out the valve on this bellows, you can probably get it working. I think the bellows look not so horrible, but there isn't something you can do with them. You know, cover the sharp, pointy screws that are on there that will, you know, cause you bleeding in your wrist. People think you're attempting suicide, although these things might make you want to do that. Check the hemp, make sure everything's sealed as best as you can. The bag, I think, is probably about 90% air efficient. You might be able to get some practice out of it, but it's a challenge. They mechanically, well, you can practice the fingering on this, which was the whole point of why I got these in the first place. But they are an exercise in madness and frustration. You do not want other people in the house at the same time as you're practicing, or they will truly think you've lost your mind. The reed that came with it required a lot of farting around to try to get some sound out of it. It was extremely hard and hard to blow and hard to play. So I bought a backup reed off of eBay. Cost almost as much as this whole thing here. If you just want to make a sound on a chanter, and you're okay working your butt off, keeping the air in this thing, and you just want to learn how to hold the chanter, working on that kind of a thing, yeah, it's going to give you a little bit of a head start on the Uilleann pipes before they come. Maybe you can find where the air was escaping and fix it. You don't want to be buying something and spending your whole time trying to understand why it doesn't work. And you know, the consistency of quality through this whole system here just makes you wonder, is it worth the cost? I'm kind of happy I did it. It was sort of fun, you know, getting excited about getting my new pipes and trying some of this stuff. Those bellows are probably suitable for blowing on a fire to get a fire started, and if the fire is slow in starting, I think you just throw the bellows on the fire, and these as well. That might be the best way to get a fire started. You know, I think that, I don't know where all those positive reviews come from on eBay for this stuff. I can't imagine anybody happy with this purchase. And do not buy the drones for this. That would be nuts. And also, the regulators, which are even more complicated than the drones, are insane. I mean, that would just be a super waste of money. So for, you know, the $100 plus for buying this whole thing, yeah, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I'll give it to somebody that wants to you know, put on Craigslist or something. But buyer beware. Do not buy one of these if you are not willing to really work hard to try to get it to work, and even then lower your expectations. You will not be playing tunes, Uilleann tunes on this thing and sounding any good. You may use it as a practice instrument to get a feel for the fingering. That's about it. Anyway, hope you learned from this. You probably knew what the answer was already, but it's kind of fun to watch somebody else suffer sometimes. And I did finally get my set of Fred Morrison Uilleann pipes. It's a half set, so it comes with drones, not the regulators, but drones. And just as a closing on this video, I'll show you what proper pipes are supposed to sound like. These are Fred Morrison Uilleann pipes, half set. Drones, chanter, bag, everything fits together nicely. The drones have a switch here which turns them off, so it's in effect a practice chanter at this point. I could pull this off, it does come with a big screw and plug, but I've just rehent this and it's really super tight and nice, so I don't want to mess around with it. So just pretend these drones aren't here. All you're going to hear is the chanter, and this is a Martin Gallen's reed. He makes the reeds for the Morrison pipes, and let's see how it goes. So easy, hardly took any air, sounds great. I mean, my fingering, I've only just been playing for a few weeks, so, you know, I'm not hitting it quite cleanly, but, order a proper set of pipes if you can afford it. Those will make you crazy, and you can try all kinds of stuff to make them better. I'm not sure if you can, but if you just want something to practice on, just to kind of before the nice set shows up, and so you get a feel for the chanter and all that, it's good. This chanter feels so solid and hard and thick and strong compared to that other one. That when you finally get a real chanter in your hand, you think, wow, that is a musical instrument. So thank you for watching, and I hope you got a laugh out of this and maybe save yourself a couple $100 by not buying these things. But if you've ever really been curious about it, like I was, I know there's positive reviews on that website. Where are they coming from? I have no idea. But it certainly can't be anybody that is sane. See ya. Thanks.